Sripadarajam Sharanam Prapadhye. Chapter 28. The story of Sri Vasavi and Sri Nagareswara. Description of the forms of Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Lakshmi, Mahalakshmi, Saraswati, Mahasaraswati, Kali, Mahakali. It was Friday. It was the auspicious time of the birthday celebrations of Sri Vasavi Kanyaka Parameshwari. Sripada walked on the waters of the river Krishna and reached the other shore. We reached the shore by boat. It was 7 ghadiyas in the morning. It was the auspicious time at which Sri Venkateswara Swami, along with his consort Sri Alivelumanga, receives worship and other services. Sripada entered into the cowshed that was constructed the day before and went into deep meditation. We also entered the cowshed at the same time. That was a unique occasion when the darbar of Sripada commenced. Wonder of wonders! The body of Sri Charan suddenly became very brilliant. That great effulgence spread in all the 4 directions. His body did not appear as a physical body, but as an image of effulgence. He came out of the cowshed. Normally, his shadow used to appear on the ground, but on that day his shadow did not fall on the ground. Generally, there used to be footprints on the ground when he walked, but on that day there were no footprints on the ground. He stared very sharply towards the sun god. His body was filled with divine brilliance, and the form of great luster became bigger and bigger. After some time, his effulgent form merged with the sun. We saw with our eyes the disappearance of Sripada. We saw a child of divine luster in the effulgence of the sun. The child came out of the sun and came briskly towards the earth. When the child stepped on the earth vanished from our vision. He had a wonderful smile. Again, he most intensely looked towards the sun, and we were able to see the earth again. He asked both of us to look towards the sun again. We saw in the sun a divine child form with perfect beauty and charm. That divine child was of a feminine form. She came towards the earth with charming smiles. When the feet of the divine child touched the earth vanished from our sight. We looked at this with awe and wonder. The divine child smiled on seeing us. The earth became visible to us. Immediately, Sripada held that female form fondly in his arms. Sripada's age was 16 years and the divine child's age was 3 years. She very much resembled Sripada. She wore silken clothes and precious divine ornaments. Sripada and the divine child entered the cowshed again. Sri Dharmagupta and I witnessed these wonderful spectacles with wonder, excitement, and fear. A doubt cropped up in my mind whether it was all a magical trick. Sripada, who sensed my feelings, affirmed with a profound thundering voice, "Oh, Shankara Bhatt, this is not magic or jugglery. This is my nature. This is my divine disposition. Within a moment, I can turn the sky into the earth. Whatever I will, Brahma creates it in accordance with my will. then it gets expressed into the creation in multiple ways. The forces of nature which are invisible will be brought to light through the forms and qualities of the creation. When it is said that I am the form of Brahma, it means that I give inspiration to Brahma to create. All the created living beings and the created things are sustained for some time. This is the function of Vishnu. I am that Mahavishnu who urges Vishnu to do so. Saraswati and Maha Saraswati are different. Saraswati is the form of knowledge relating to creation. Maha Saraswati is Anagha Devi who gives the urge and strength to Saraswati. Lakshmi is the form responsible for the material effluence bringing the sustenance of creation. Maha Lakshmi is Anagha Devi, urging and empowering Lakshmi. The force of creation is the form of Kali. Maha Kali is Anagha Devi, stimulating Kali and giving her strength. The form of Anagha Lakshmi. Anagha associated with Anagha Lakshmi is my Datta form. Anagha Lakshmi incarnates as a divine form of mother, distinct from the combination of Mahasaraswati, Mahalakshmi and Mahakali. Therefore, note that Anagha Lakshmi is the divine Shakti supporting the three forms of Mahasaraswati, Mahalakshmi and Mahakali in their integrated state and is superior to all of them. Note that my Anagha form bears Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra in an integrated state. Know that I keep that Anagha form who is the basis for those three, who transcends them and is the personification of the three Shaktis. On my left side in my Shaktarupa, masculine form of strength. As a result of the Savitra Kataka Chayana done in Treta Yuga, my divine glorious form used Ardhanarishwara Tattva as the basis and incarnated in Pitikapuram along with Vishnu Maya as an ascetic in the form of Sripada Srivallabha. Be aware that the shape you see now is in its real state, the form of Mahalakshmi and Mahavishnu. Know that the Sri Padmavati, form of Lakshmi and consort of Sri Venkateswara, has in her consciousness Mahasaraswati, Mahalakshmi and Mahakali. Her form, however, is that of Mahalakshmi. She is Parashakti who has the three Shaktis and is their support and yet surpasses them. The form of Sri Venkateswara embodies within him the consciousness of the enormous form of Brahma, the cosmic form of Mahavishnu and Pralayakala form of Rudra. He is the form of Parabrahma, who is their support and remains far beyond them. Know that Sri Padmavati and Sri Venkateswara are in the shape of Mahavaishnava Maya as Sripada Srivallabha in Ardhanarishwara Rupa. Rupa means form. Then I said, Guru Sarvabhauma, victory, victory to you. You said you are Padmavati Venkateswara. Again, you said you are Anagha Lakshmi Sameta Anagha. For a dull-witted person like me, your nature is not understood even very slightly. Please have mercy on me and help. Sripada is Sri Venkateswara. Then Sripada said, My children, my potencies are infinite. My divine nature has the tendency to manifest in many ways. Even though Mahalakshmi and Padmavati basically belong to the same nature. When she assumes the character of Mahalakshmi, Sri Mahavishnu emerges from me to be her consort. When she takes on the characteristic traits of Padmavati, I would allow the essential nature of Venkateswara to emerge from me. When the primordial nature takes birth with the form and attributes, then the suitable references, worldly observances, and restrictions have to be followed consistently. This supreme power, who is my divine sister, incarnated as Yogamaya on the eve of my incarnation as Krishna and traveled into the sky. Great sages, yogis, and Vaishya hermits, through their intense penance, made her to originate as Vasavi Kanyaka. I had to incarnate in Sri Pitikapuram due to some special reasons. Witness the future program to the full satisfaction of your eyes. You will understand the important feature of my incarnation and the special Leela filled with divine delight and mirth. My dear child Shankara Bhatt, write about all the Leela that are taking place today in this Panchadeva Pahad. Write about them faithfully in the Charitamrutam exactly as they are and exactly as you see them. It will be a source of inspiration to the future generations. It will wipe out many serious doubts. It imparts new strength, devotion, and enthusiasm for the believers of God. While both of us were looking stunned at the spectacle, the figure of Sripada Srivallabha turned into a divine radiance, and Sri Padmavati Devi and Sri Venkateswara emerged from there with supreme splendor. While we were looking, the female divine baby form grew bigger and bigger, and with divine glow it formed into a young Sri Kanyaka Parameswari of 18 years. The cowshed disappeared, and in its place a splendid palace appeared with luminous globes spreading divine light all over. As we were looking, a royal couple with all their servants appeared there. We recognized the royal couple as the Kusuma Sresti couple. The farmer named Virupaksha, whom we saw the day before, was seen in the attire of a prince. He asked me, "Sir, what is meant by Musti in Musti Veera Musti?" I said, "I don't know." The great Lord in the form of Sri Venkateswara said, "My dear Shankara Bhatt, did you notice the reverences and traditions while one is in the form and with qualities? They should be followed thoroughly. You will slowly understand everything. From the form of Sri Kanyaka Parameswari, roaring sounds emitted. I was scared and thought that some disaster was going to take place. Meanwhile, nature calmed down, and Sri Vasavi Devi and Sri Nagareswara emerged from that Vasavi form. Later, Vaishya sages followed. Vaishya couples approached in pairs. I understood that it was the great royal palace where Sri Vasavi Kanyaka lived in Bruhatshila Nagar. Lord Venkateswara said, "My dear Shankara Bhatt, the Vaishya couples that you are witnessing were the same couples who did the Agni Pravesham with Vasavi Kanyaka. These Vaishya rishis belong to 101 Gotras. In the meantime," Kusma Sresti said, "the great Guru Bhaskaracharya has not come. Labhada Maharshi, who belonged to the 102 Gotra, also did not turn up. My lord, did not Garuda, the divine carrier of Vishnu, include both of them? Then Lord Srinivasa Venkateswara said, O Vaishya Munis, Bhaskaracharya, whom you know, was Labhada Maharshi in his previous birth. Now, during my incarnation as Sripada Srivallabha, he is in Pitikapuram as my maternal grandfather. Bapanarya and the meritorious form of Rajamamba are witnessing with their yogic vision from Pitikapuram the leelas that are happening here. Meanwhile, Akhanda Lakshmi Saubhagyavati Sumati Maharani, Brahmashri Appalaraja Sharma, Akhanda Lakshmi Saubhagyavati Venkata Subbamamba, Maharshi Venkatappaya Sresti, alighted from a lustrous divine airplane with subtle bodies and came in. They were welcomed grandly. As it was the birthday of Sri Vasavi Kanyaka, Akhanda Lakshmi Saubhagyavati Sumati Maharani, Akhanda Lakshmi Saubhagyavati Kusumamba, Akhanda Lakshmi Saubhagyavati Venkata Subbamamba, and other sacred women did Mangala Snanam, auspicious bath, for Sri Vasavi Devi and decorated her with ornaments. The great Lord Nagareswara was glowing with exceptionally radiant splendor. He was also made to do Mangala Snanam. Lord Srinivasa said, Vaishya Munis, 18 Nagaraswamis, Agnikunda couples, today is an auspicious day. It is the divine propitious time. I have decided that the engagement ceremony is to be performed today for Sri Vasavi Devi and Sri Nagareswara. For that, I want your suggestions, consent, and also want to discuss the customary details as to how it will be performed. When Sri Vasavi Kanyaka was in the form of Parvati, the Asura Ravana came to Kailash. He urged Parameshwara to give him the Atmalingam, eternal form of the higher self. Bhola Shankara granted it. After that, he asked a wish which was not supposed to be asked. Ambika took the form of Kali. Later on, the Atmalingam also got installed on the earth at Gokarna. However, in Kali Yuga, a Gandharva who was an Amsha of Ravana asked for Vasavi. As you know, it was the king Vishnuvardhana. You also know that Vasavi entered the fire with the couples who belonged to 102 Gotras. Sri Bhaskaracharya used to raise Gaurabalikas and Balanagaras. Sri Vasavi Kanyaka was also a Gaurabalika. It is wise to treat Nagareshwara as Balanagara and carry out the marriage. But still there is a hindrance. You only have to solve it. Considering your opinions, we will decide about Sri Vasavi Kanyaka's engagement. Sri Nagareshwara had no mother or father or Gotra. He is self manifested. But our Kanyaka is desirous of having him as husband by mind, word, and action. Sri Nagareshwara is also eager to marry our Kanyaka. While performing the ritual of offering the bride to the bridegroom, we should thoroughly think about the bridegroom's caste, gotra, and other important things. As per our traditions, cousin marriage is in order. I will abide by your decision. On hearing the words of Srinivasa, the pivot for this world's drama, all were astounded. A Gaurabalika should be given only to a Balanagara in marriage. They wondered whether they should give her to Shankara Bhagavan, Shiva, who has no caste or gotra. Kanyaka also wanted to marry Sri Nagareswara. To overcome this difficult situation, they thought that they should seek the help of the most learned Sri Ganapati. They understood that Ganapati's blessings and grace were important for anything to be done. When they prayed, Ganapati manifested. Everyone prostrated to him. Ganapati said, Srinivasa, this Vasavi is indeed my mother Parvati only. So it is not at all wrong to give her in marriage to Nagareswara. Then Srinivasa said, My dear Ganesha, you are a boy. You should be capable of clearly understanding Dharma and subtle Dharma. You are the Lord of the Ganas. You are the foremost amongst the 30 million gods and also the head of pravritti and nivritti ganas. So without your order, no marriage is accepted as per dharma. At the time of the marriage of Parvati, you were not born. In that case, the marriage of Parvati is not accepted by dharma. All the Vaishya elders were bewildered. Keeping aside Sri Vasavi's marriage, Lord Srinivasa's statement that Parvati's marriage was not acceptable was most shocking and they could not utter a single word. Then Ganapati said, My dear clever uncle, I can discern your foul play. Your wish is that the marriage of my mother and father should not take place. During the marriage ceremony, the bridegroom should spend money abundantly by way of giving dakshinas and distributing food. You are ridiculing that my father has no money. I differ with your viewpoint. Every human being has Kundalini power. I am present in that Mooladhara Chakra. So, at the time of the marriage of Parvati and Parameshwara, they invited me. Since I was present in the Mooladhara Chakra of Shankara Bhagavan, the marriage took place with my consent only. So, the marriage of Parvati and Parameshwara was very acceptable as per Dharma. At that time, my manifestation into the physical world had not yet taken place, but I am present in the Mooladhara of all human beings and gods. Labhada was born as my son. He was Labha the Maharshi in Krita Yuga. The Gotra of Labhada is among the 102 Gotras. The Dhanagupta and Dhanalakshmi couple, who were the gems of the Ganapakulam, Ganapa caste, entered the fire which resulted in the end of their progeny. So cleverly, I begot Labha the Maharshi as my son. Therefore, our Gotra became Labhadi Gotra. Since my Gotra is Labhadi Gotra, my father Paramashiva's Gotra is also Labhadi Gotra. This Labhadi Gotra is one of the 102 Gotras of the Arya Vaishyas. So even Nagareshwara is an Arya Vaishya. You say you are the brother of Mother Vasavi. At present, Labhadi Maharshi has come as Bapanarya. So you better take the permission of your grandfather and find out if Nagareshwara can be considered as born in the Labhadi Gotra. Then it can also be considered as a cousin marriage. It is so because Kusma Sresti, who was born in the Prabhata Gotra, has got relations with the people born in the Labhadi Gotra. They are related as maternal uncles. Having known that you will create such a hindrance, I allowed the Dhanalakshmi and the Dhanagupta couple to enter into the fire and end their Gotra. Sri Nagareswara can be given this Gotra. I am giving one more boon from today. Since you are the husband of Lakshmi, people worship you for the grace of Lakshmi. From now onwards, people who worship Shiva and perform Abhishekam to Shiva will also have the grace of Lakshmi. The saying Aishwaryam Ishwaradi Chet will spread in all parts of the world. If Lord Shiva is worshipped during Shani Pradosha time, they will have happiness of all the worlds. Srinivasa asked the Vaishya elders for their suggestions. All of them in one voice supported what Ganapati said. With great pleasure, the engagement between Vasavi, born in the Prabhata Gotra, and Nagareswara of the Labha, the Gotra, was performed. In the night, arrangements were made for a big feast. It was all a festive time with dances and music of the Apsara girls, celestial beings. Mother Sri Vasavi said, the count of the 102 Gotras is exactly 102 Gotras only. It is a mistake to assume that there is no Labha the Maharshi Gotra. The main reason for ending the progeny in the 102 Gotra is that it should belong to the great Lord Sri Nagareswara. The Gotra in which I was born is to be considered as the Prabhata Gotra, and the Sri Nagareswara Gotra should be considered as the Labhadi Gotra. All Vaishyas should remember the Labhadi Gotra. In the same way, they all should worship the great Lord Sri Nagareswara. Although I am in the Kanyaka form, you should recognize that my Lord is present in every atom of mine. Moreover, I am present in every atom of Sri Nagareswara. If I am worshipped and he is not worshipped, or he is worshipped and I am not worshipped, there will be no result. My Kanyaka form is only for 18 years. Before that, I was Parameshwari, and after this, I will be Parameshwari again. If you think of me as Kanyaka, I will confer you the experience of Kanyaka. If you think of me as Parameshwari, I will give you the darshan as Saubhagya Mangala Rupini. The idol in Tirupati was worshipped as Bala Tripura Sundari and Eswara. At one time, the idol in Tirumala was worshipped as Bala Tripura Sundari. Later on, it was worshipped as Eswara. Still later, it is being worshipped as the Maha Vishnu form. The Bala Tripura Sundari form in the idol of Tirumala is myself. The one in Eswara form is Sri Nagareswara only. The one in the form of Mahavishnu is my brother Lord Datta. This oneness should be understood as related to consciousness and not to the physical world. Lord Srinivasa said, Sister, I am at present in the form of Sripada Srivallabha in Pitikapuram. You should be there in my samsthan as my sister. Ambika said, Brother, this is acceptable to me. Before this, you should come in the form of Sri Venkateswara to the Kanyaka Parameshwari Mahasamsthan in Nagar. Lord Srinivasa, the pivot of this world drama, smiled. Sri Vasavi Devi's birthday was thus celebrated grandly. On the next day, The place remained as an ordinary cowshed. Having completed the early morning errands, we started towards Kurungadda. Sripada Rajam Sharanam Prapadhye.